What is up, y'all? 𝐕Righteous here, and I have something special for you. Now, the Devastator has been my favorite class from the beginning. Even before I play the game, I just love the concept of him, but he did disappoint me in the other two class trees besides Seismic Shifter. Playing anything other than Seismic in Tier 15 Expeditions is pretty much a death sentence. There's no survivability whatsoever, and while you're in the Seismic path, there are quite a few variations that allow for different playstyles. So until the devs buff the other trees, which I do believe they will, I'll stay here and I'm fine with that for now. So the issues that I'm hearing people are having using the Devastator is his lack of damage. The result is him not being able to complete Tier 15 Gold expeditions. The community poll I made proved this. Look at the results. It just seems like the Devastator needs a lot of Tier 3 mods in order to get gold tier completions. I'll be honest, I was having the same problem as well, which is why it took so long for me to get this build out, especially since RNG is in control of whether or not your build can compete. Thankfully, I was able to get most of the gear I needed, and it's not even complete because there are a few more Tier 3 mods that I need, which will make this build ridiculously strong. Have you heard of the mod that impales 3 enemies all at the same time? That's the one that I need. But despite the fact that I don't have everything, I still decided to release it. So let me explain how this build works, because the Devastator has absolutely no issues dealing with mobs. It's his single target damage against captains and high health enemies that's lacking. You spend all that time trying to kill captains and you just watch as that timer keeps going. So what if I told you that the method I've been using will enable you to take chunks of health away from the captains and high health enemies? It is a very quick and effective tactic. Now this requires a bit of RNG to be on your side because the weapon needed is specific. There are very few that grant this much damage for the Devastator specifically. Let me show you the skill tree first so you can understand exactly what's going on here. The first build I made, I kind of split the tree because I wanted to have some weapon damage along with anomaly power. But for this, you don't want to do that. You need all the points you can get for the Seismic Shifter. It's what'll help you survive. As you fight, the bleed you inflict will be healing you the entire time. And even though the bleed is not the main focus here, it is still very important when it comes to how it'll help buff your damage. So I want you to pay close attention to these two abilities on the skill tree. Paladin, which gives 45% anomaly power after activating a protection skill for 10 seconds. It has no cooldown. This is what you activate first so that your damage skills can benefit from that 45%. That's the first damage buff you'll receive for Devastator. Next is Protected by Anomaly. Now this one is one of the best kept secrets, and the weapon that comes with it is what I was talking about, which requires a bit of RNG. So just hear me out and it'll all make sense in a second. Protected by Anomaly grants you 45% armor of your anomaly power. So since this is primarily an anomaly build, it'll benefit so much from this ability. These are essential to the build and completely relative to the skills I'm using, which are Earthquake, Impale, and Golem. Golem is what I use to start fights and help my survivability, while simultaneously increasing my Earthquake and Impale damage. And as I said before, it's the Tier 3 Impale mod that I'm missing to put this build over the top. It impales 3 enemies at once. But here's the build. And this is the mod I was referring to that synergizes with Protected by Anomaly. It's called Fortress. The mod comes from a legendary automatic shotgun called Deathshield, which first of all looks awesome. Now, the weapon I'm using alongside it is Thunderbird because that lightning strike's damage scales with your anomaly power as well. It's the perfect anomaly weapon. On both weapons, I've rolled Moaning Winds, and I know you heard of that, right? So on the Thunderbird, which is my primary, I have Ultimate Storm Whip and Moaning Winds. On the Deathshield, there's Fortress and Moaning Winds. Now here's the tactic I use to chunk captains and high health enemies. While using Thunderbird, it's natural to reload after firing, right? Once you do that, the blast can deal upwards of 1.4 million damage to groups. After reloading, switch weapons to Deathshield, which by the way should already have an empty magazine. This will automatically deliver another 1.4 million damage blast. I repeat this cycle every 8 seconds. It synergizes perfectly with the flow of combat. A large part of this also lends credit to the Deathshield and how it works with Protected by Anomaly. The Fortress mod states that it gives you 43% damage of your armor. Now, I don't know if that's just weapon damage or overall damage. Let me know what you think down below. But check it. If you add up the total amount of armor on your build, then take 43%. That's how much extra damage you'll deal. And remember, Protected by Anomaly gives you 45% of your anomaly power as armor. That is freaking crazy, man. And this does not include all the buffs you'll receive from whatever mods you decide to choose to increase your armor even more. This, along with Moaning Winds and the bleed bonuses, is where that damage from the Devastator comes from. There is a formula to how you play him as well, because I see a lot of people making this mistake. If you have an anomaly build, your attributes must be rolled to anomaly power. Otherwise, you'd be severely lacking in damage. So if you notice, all of my gears roll that way, and it's preferred to have cooldown reduction and status power. If you can't get all that, it's okay, but please make sure you have anomaly power. The mods you want on this gear are anything to help the utility and damage of Earthquake and Impale. Here's what I suggest: more strikes if you have the right Impale mods, more damage, more armor, and I got a couple of tier 3 mods that you do need as well. They came from the seismic set pieces when I broke them down. Man, that third Earthquake is vital for this build. And also, permanently reducing enemies' armor by 20% is something you don't want to pass up. Oh, and don't forget, Captain Hunter, which grants 25% extra damage to captains. Here's a quick tip on how you run the skill usage loop. To start, use Golem for protection and damage, then Earthquake to make him bleed and clear adds. Then use Impale to take advantage of the 50% extra damage they'll receive while they're bleeding. It works like a charm, which is why I'm able to impale captains and broodmothers. Then bleeding also allows for more damage dealt with Moaning Winds. With these mods in this playstyle, there's no way you will not succeed getting through these expeditions, whether you're at tier 10 or 15. It was a little hard for me to try and crack the code of how to deal more damage with Devastator. Shout out to 𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐻, a fellow clanmate and Devastator main who made it to World Tier 15 solo with that class. Conversations with him while theory crafting helped out a lot. But there's nothing else I really have to say about this build. I think I pretty much covered everything. If you have anything to add, please feel free to do that down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you're new. That'll do it for this one. I'll see you in my next video. Be right out.
What did you do with it?
It's disabled. I'll see if 𝐦𝐸𝐸 can't take a look at it. Then I found a pod down.
You saved some lives today, Outrider. I would expect nothing less from you.